So it's kind of big things coming up. Things that will change everything the coming years. And now they are going to upgrade the system once again. And they have stated this on and on that they need a big crisis in order to install this new updated version of the United Nations.
You're listening to the Corbett Report.
Welcome, friends. James Corbett here, CorbettReport.com, in a conversation that is being recorded on the 9th of June, 2025, on the eve of the beginning of the Bilderberg Conference. That's right, it is June, so everyone knows that is the time in which the globalist conclave is set to begin. And this time, it's heading to Stockholm, Sweden, aka the stomping ground of previous Corbett Report guest Jacob Nordangård. And you know Jacob Nordangård by now, if not through his books like Rockefeller, Controlling the Game, and or Temple of Solomon, then hopefully you know him through his writings, which are of course available at, for example, his website, jacobnordangård.se. He's also on Substack at the Pharos Chronicles, and I will link up all of those things in the show notes in case you don't know about it. So please go to the show notes if you would like to follow the links to what we're talking about. But today we're going to talk very specifically about Jacob Nordangård's most recent article on Bilderbergers over Stockholm, Externalization of the Money Masters, Part 2. And you will remember, if you're an attentive Corbett Report listener, that it was just a few months ago that we were talking about the externalization of the money masters and the year 2025, which has been predicted to be a year of special occultic significance. So please go back in the archives if you missed that conversation. But let's welcome him on the program, Jacob Nordangård. Thank you very much for joining us again today.
Yes, thanks for having me, James.
Yes. All right, let's get into this very interesting subject. So, of course, my regular listeners will know all about Bilderberg, the annual Bilderberg Conference. If not, what are you doing? Please start searching it out at the Corbett Report archives. Long story short, of course, the annual conference of 200 or so of some of the richest and most powerful people in the world. No, not the political puppets that are dangled out in front of us, but the people who are actually working behind the scenes to stage manage the political puppet play. And this year, they happen to be descending on Stockholm, Sweden. And as you write in your article here, next week, this year's Bilderberg meeting will be held in central Stockholm, Sweden. The Wallenberg family, the bankers and industrialists known to exercise a great deal of power behind the scenes in Sweden, are hosting the event. And you note that the event is going to be taking at the luxury hotel, the Grand Hotel, located in an area known as the Swedish Center of Financial Power, with the offices of Wallenberg's Investor and SEB Group, and the Swedish Order of Freemasons in close vicinity, with the Royal Castle, government quarters, and the Parliament within a short walking distance. Sounds like a perfect place to conspire, i.e. to breathe air together. So let's talk about what is really happening here. And for dumb ignoramuses like myself, who may not know, tell us about the Wallenberg family and their significance in the Swedish power structure.
Yes, everyone in Sweden knows about the Wallenbergs. They own like 40% of a stock exchange in Sweden, and they are owners of and controlling big corporations and companies in Sweden, like Saab, fighter jet manufacturer, and into defense, and also we have Electrolux, and we have companies like Ericsson. Of course, telecommunications, very, very important in these days. And they have exercised a great deal of power in Sweden for the last 100 or 120 years. And also have a great deal of saying regarding politics. So, as I write in my article, it's like we have in Sweden a two-party system. One is the Wallenberg party were red, and the Wallenberg party were blue. So it's like they actually are giving the top politicians instructions to just follow the things that...
Yes, and let me just back that up. You're saying that quite advisedly, because in your article you provide a link to a recent Swedish television report on the Wallenberg family in which they interview Marcus Wallenberg. I did watch it in English translation, obviously. And as you point out, they talk about a number of interesting things in that interview, including, of course, the fact that the Wallenberg, in this case, is it Jacob that they're interviewing, or is it Marcus? At any rate, is talking about how he, of course, has every prime minister and opposition leader and everyone else on speed dial. He can text them at any time that he wants. And of course, this is how power really operates in Swedish society. And everyone in Sweden apparently kind of knows it and just accepts that.
Well, I don't know if everybody really understands this. It's like that they showed this on prime time news, but a large deal of population, they don't watch this. And it's like they don't want to know, and they don't understand, even if it's right before their eyes. So it's not that easy that but because of course everybody in Sweden knows about the Wallenbergs, that's for sure. But it's still like a lot of people think that they actually can vote for a certain party and it will change everything.
It's like people in almost every country in the world these days who really think that their elected politicians matter. But I think the Bilderberg meeting is a perfect way to undermine that stupid and childish idea that people have, that the political shadow play that's taking place on the cave wall has any significance whatsoever, because, for example, who is sitting on the Bilderberg steering committee? Oh, that's right, Marcus Wallenberg, along with Peter Thiel and Alex Karp and Eric Schmidt and Jose Manuel Barroso and a number of other names that probably a lot of people just generally don't know who these people are, but they should, because these are some of the people who are actually steering the conversations that are taking place at the elitist conclave, where everyone is getting their marching orders and taking them back to their respective countries to implement them, regardless of what person is sitting in the office of power. So I think Bilderberg is a good way of focusing our attention back on what really matters, which is not the political stage play, but the people who are managing that stage play.
Yes, and it's interesting also. We have the Bilderberg meeting now, and I assume that some of the top politicians in Sweden will participate here, like the opposition leader Magdalena Andersson. But also recently she was at the Trilateral Commission meeting in Washington together with Jacob Wallenberg and a whole bunch of other people connected to the Wallenberg Foundation. It's like everyone that has power in Sweden goes to the Trilateral Commission, and all these people are also from the Wallenberg network. We also found some other former politicians involved in the Trilateral meeting, and
well, not even just former politicians. As you point out, of course, Scott Bessent of the Trump administration was there conversing with CFR Chairman David Rubenstein at the Trilateral Commission meeting. So not just former politicians, but
I talked about the Swedish.
Yes, right.
No, of course, it's top politicians and people that actually are in the game, very much so. And for example, Magdalena Andersson, she's the leader of the Social Democrats in Sweden, and it's like she was elected into the Trilateral Commission 2 years ago, and now she has been at the Bilderberg meeting, and so it's like they have decided that Magdalena will take the power in Sweden after the next election next year. That's what I think will happen. And also I write another thing in this article that is kind of remarkable. It's that we have a party in Sweden called the Left Party, Vänsterpartiet. They were formerly known as the Communist Party in Sweden. And they have never been invited to the government because they have been considered as a security threat. As communists, they have more passively supported the Social Democrats before. But this time it's like they want to invite them in the government. But before that they have to go in kind of a schooling. And so in order to govern Sweden, so they have been they will be advised by Jacob Wallenberg and a couple of other politicians connected to the Wallenberg network, and so it's just shows how it's just a big theater, everything, and they are quite open with this now. So I mean, that's one of the things that I when thinking about the externalization of a hierarchy with 2025, it's and the Wallenberg family now, they are really open in the interview that they gave, and also with inviting and having the Bilderberg meeting in, I mean, it's in the city center of Stockholm. Usually it's better for security reasons to have it outside on the countryside somewhere, where you can...
near the airport, I think, generally, so that they can shuttle themselves in and out very quickly.
Yeah. So I mean, it's... this is... kind of a difficult security situation, I would say, but it's like now, okay, we will, so we decide. That's how it works, and now finally we will admit it.
Well, Jacob, as we sit here recording this, again, it's the 9th of June as we're recording, and currently at bilderbergmeetings.org, which is now the official website of Bilderberg, because they finally had to really unveil their existence about a decade ago after people like ourselves and others in the alternative media wouldn't shut up talking about them. They finally admitted they existed, started a website, so you can go to bilderbergmeetings.org and find what they put up every year. They usually put up an attendee list and an agenda of various things that will be discussed. And take it for what it's worth. I would imagine there are many informal conversations that go on, and there are attendees who probably do not appear on the attendee list. But having said that, neither of those are available yet as we're recording this, so we don't know precisely what will be on the agenda, which of course is formed by the steering committee, including people like Marcus Wallenberg. But we do have some indication of that from that Trilateral Commission meeting, which, as you said, took place earlier this year, back in April in Washington. Can you tell us, what was the theme of that Trilateral Commission meeting? What were they discussing?
Yes, the theme was the era of revolutions. So it's kind of big things coming up. Things that will change everything the coming years. They had a lot of interesting sessions about this. They had a couple of interesting topics on the agenda, like the Ukraine war, of course, the future of European security, the artificial intelligence revolution, soft power in the age of Trump, cryptocurrency, big thing now, North America on the rocks. And that's more or less about the decline of the United States as the leading power. And some interesting topics with neurotechnologies and the battle for your brain and technology in the military domain. And it's like they are preparing for things to come. And I guess the Bilderberg meeting, they will talk about this. And what's up next, what to prepare for.
It would be very surprising I think it would be surprising if the Bilderberg agenda did not in some way echo these very important topics. Obviously, they're broad topics, but obviously very topical. Neurotechnologies in the battle for your brain, or technology in the military domain, which of course overlaps with things like the Ukraine war and the dramatic drone strikes that we've seen taking place recently, etc. Yeah, I'm sure they will have no shortage of things to be talking about and discussing at their little conclave there. But let's get on to what is truly, again, it's always mind-bending reading your articles and how it always comes back to these same topics and ideas. But in the section on preparing and profiting on war, you talk about how an exercise for a possible devastating bioterrorist attack on the 4th of July 2025 was held last year. It is one of the many options on the table, all leading to a major global conflict. And you talk about, of course, the Wallenberg family's deep connections to the Swedish security and defense industry. Talk about what this era of revolutions may have in store for us if these people get their way.
Yes, I would say I don't write about this in the article, but it's basically the same as the United Nations has prepared for, with a pact for the pact for
Pact of the future. Pact for
pact
the
of the
future.
future.
Yes. Right.
Yeah. Then and in that pact, we talk about the future challenges, and also they had, during the Summit of the Future and our common agenda, we were talking about 7 types of crisis that could come in the future and which we had to be prepared for. And this was pandemics, of course, climate disasters, and like a bio attack, and a couple of others. And almost everything is also connected to war, of course. And a bio attack is very much about war. So I think they are preparing for a war scenario the coming years, a kind of a third world war. As it is, if we go back in history, we had the First World War led up to the founding of the League of Nations. The Second World War led up to the founding of the United Nations. And now they are going to upgrade the system once again. And they have stated this on and on, that they need a big crisis in order to install this new updated version of United Nations. So that's what I see is happening, and this is the era of revolutions, because that's what's happened before the new system comes, and the United States will diminish as the only big world power. And I've read a lot of reports about this from think tanks like the Stimson Center. The Stimson Center was very, very involved in the Pact for the Future preparations, and the setup of the idea of this new governance model. And they talk about in 2 new scenarios about how United States will just diminish, and in one model it's like they just become another player in a multilateral system, and in the other they just step out of the system, and in that way the other countries in the world will cooperate, and in the end United States will come back, and we want to be a part of this again, as they got a new administration. So So we have calculated with this kind of scenarios, and also I know the Wallenberg. I think it was Jacob Wallenberg. He said this some years ago that we have entered an angry world. It's going to be a tough time. So they know, and but the Wallenbergs is prepared as well, because they, as you said, they profit on war, and so it's been a boom for them with regarding to defense contracts in Sweden, and also with Sweden joining NATO. That has been a huge success for them, and that was something that they lobbied for via their obedient puppets in the left wing and right wing.
Exactly right. Control both wings of the bird of prey, and then send it to feast upon whatever goal you're aiming to achieve. And if it's true that you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs, then I guess you can't rend some ordo without creating a bit of KO. And that seems to be the part of the agenda that we're in right now, this era of revolutions that they're setting up with their Trilateral and Bilderberg ruminations and conspiracy. But let's bring this to the tie back to what we were talking about in our previous conversation. Again, if people haven't seen that, I would highly suggest that they do, because we were talking about your article on the externalization of the money masters, talking about the ascent of Mark Carney in Canada and what that might mean on the broader geopolitical stage, but also on the economic stage, the financial stage, and how that ties into the occult. And specifically Alice Bailey's neo-theosophist predictions of what would happen in the year 2025, the crucial year of the General Assembly of the Hierarchy. So all of that being taken as given, you come back to note in this article, is it a mere coincidence that the Bilderberg meeting takes place at the exact same time as the full moon during the Christ Festival, a festival initiated by Alice Bailey's organization Lucius Trust to celebrate the spiritual potential of humanity to unify the personal will with the will of God. June 11th also happens to be Lucius Trust's World Invocation Day, a world day of prayer and meditation, preparing ground for the reappearance of the Christ. Could this be a reference to the rise of an AI God or Cyber Christ, promising to save us from the age of chaos and the oligarchy externalizing its power? For people who have not yet read Temple of Solomon, but hopefully they will, but for people who haven't yet read this book, tell us what you're referring to, what this is about, how this ties in with Bilderberg and what we might be seeing going on in Stockholm this week.
Yes, I thought it was very, very interesting to just see that it was so connected. It's the same week. Coincidence? But the thing is that, as you said, Bailey in her books, she talks about 2025 as the year when the masters of wisdom will externalize and prepare for the coming of Christ. But it's not the Christ that Christians talk about. It's their own version of Christ, it's like starting a one world government and taking care of the earth. And but if you read Bailey and what I found during my studies about Bailey, it's a lot of references to the Anglo-Saxons and how they are the ones that will unify the world, and they have it's like they have learned the lessons, and they have they are what's it called, your karma, everything they did during the British Empire. It has been forgiven. They have learned from that, and now they can be here and create this new paradise. So I found it was a lot of referencing to the round table group, I would say, and I state this in my book, that it's like Lucis Trust, it's the spiritual department of the round table groups. The round table groups, of course, now we talk about the Council on Foreign Relations and the Trilateral Commission and the Bilderberg group. All these are a part of this, and it's basically the same agenda and the same ideas, and also an idea of a society ruled by those that are the best, those the wisest, those who have the ability to rule. And due to what they have achieved, due to what they have, all the riches they have earned, and also, of course, very connected to the international banking system, because that's the real thing, and that's how they will govern everything.
And something that definitely jumped out at me during my reading of Temple of Solomon, and I have only read it once, but I think I need to read it again because there is a lot of densely packed information in here. But one thing that really was driven home for me was the idea of the planetary mind and consciousness that they're trying to foster and bring about through the creation of this electrified disunification of the human body into this planetary mind that they're trying to create. And this relates to the noosphere and all of these things that we talked about, or at least glanced on it in our previous conversation. But I think I'm very interested to see what type of AI conversation will no doubt be taking place at Bilderberg this week, because I think that the AI godhead that some people fervently, truly, actually believe in, and others I think may be using cynically for their own purposes, but at any rate, that is becoming obviously more and more a part of the conversation, is going to be a part of the conversation there at Bilderberg with people like Eric Schmidt and Peter Thiel and Alex Karp and other members of the technocracy who are busily working on creating some sort of AI godhead or demon head or whatever it is. I imagine that will be part of this conversation, and obviously it ties in with your work. Do you have anything to say on that particular aspect of this?
Yes, I think you're absolutely right with this. Of course, AI is everywhere now, and that's the most important topic. And AI will be a part of the governing structure of the future. So it's just natural, and that's why I also have made these connections with looking into the occult work of Alice Bailey. It's just so connected, but we will see. I hope we will publish this press release soon so that we can hear. Because at the same time, it's very, very hard to keep things secret.
It certainly is.
Yeah.
Is that for good or bad? I guess that's for good, because things will come out, but it is part of the externalization plan, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And it's total transparency. Nobody can have any secrets in the future.
All right. Well, on that happy note,
Yeah.
I understand you will be traveling to Stockholm to at least check out what is happening there. Can your readers expect an update or some sort of report from there, or will you play it by
Yes,
ear?
I will write something about it as I gain more knowledge about what's happening and what has been going on, and when we have a press release and so on.
Excellent. All right. Well, I will certainly be looking forward to that, and I will let my audience know when and if and as that report arrives. In the meantime, I am holding the Temple of Solomon copy that you were kind enough to ship to me after our previous conversation. Thank you very much for that. I understand this is now in a second edition that's now available. Can you tell people about that?
Yes, when I talked to you the last time, 3 months ago, the book sold out just after you had released the interview. So thanks for that. So I had to do another update, and it's a lot of things happening. So I have added some new information in this second update. And I think I will have to do a third edition later this year, because it's a very, very interesting time.
It certainly is. Can you tell people, A, how they can get your book, and B, how they can follow your writings generally?
Yes. My book can be found at my web store. That's Faros Media, farosmedia.se, and you can also find it via my homepage, Jacob Nordangård.se, and you can find my latest articles on my Substack, and this about the Bilderbergs, and also my future reporting, of course.
Excellent. Well, today's topic of conversation was Bilderbergers over Stockholm, Externalization of the Money Masters, Part 2. And of course, as I say, that, as well as everything else we've talked about today, will be linked up in the show notes at corbettreport.com in case you need the link. I hope people will follow that back and read through this article. There's a lot of information in here, including that aforementioned Swedish television report that I thought was interesting. Again, part of the externalization, perhaps. But at any rate, lots of interesting information, and I'm sure we'll be seeing some interesting things coming out of this Bilderberg meeting. All I can say is, Jacob, stay safe in Stockholm. I know that alternative media personalities have a tendency to get arrested at events like these, so I hope that you are safe and that everything is okay. But please do let us know how things go, and take care.
Yeah, I will, and thank you.
The Deep State. False Flags. 9/11 Truth. The Federal Reserve. Secret Wars and Hidden Histories. Fake News. Medical Martial Law. Ceaseless Propaganda. James Corbett. Reportage. Essays on the New World Order. Available where books are sold. Until they're not.
Reportagebook.com